Level 5 of the impact weapon course is going to be disarming and retention. It's good to package those two together because you learn the disarm and then you learn the retention methods. But remember that, as we have seen in previous levels, we're striking each other real hard. If you do any stick sparring, you wonder, how am I ever going to be able to get in and do some sort of high finesse disarm? It seems impossible. Well, you know, many of the time when you're training, you're wearing a helmet, and you never feel the diminishment of taking a crack across the head. You never feel the diminishment of the elbow sting, or just the pain that slows you down and ruins your grip and a variety of other things. So the idea is you do these against the diminished fighter. It's our classic diminished fighter theory that we have throughout the courses. We diminish them, or they come to you diminished. They come to you out of shape, drugged, slow, uncoordinated. And sometimes you can do these to people right away. And we're going to talk about the 5 universal disarms, and we're going to do a couple with each one, and then counters to them. The first major one is an impact disarm. That's an impact of any kind. It could be, you know, 10 feet away, any impact of the body that causes him to drop the weapon. The second major grouping of impact weapon disarms is going to be hand snakes. The hand snakes counterclockwise or the hand snakes clockwise, depending on where you are. We'll split hairs here, and I'll tell you that when you're on the outside, the smart thing to do is go clockwise. When you're on the inside, the smart way to go is counterclockwise. We'll talk much more about that later. The next one of the 5 disarms of the world is a stick snake. That's when the stick enters clockwise or counterclockwise, and it is responsible for most of the strip and keep because you caught the stick. And the last one is going to be a strip and send because you caught the limb. He's going to give me these 12 angles of attack that we learned, the increasing 12s in the previous level. I maneuver out of the way and I strike the limb. He comes in number 2, strike the limb. 3, I strike the limb. 4, strike the limb. He gives me the step. I step out of the way and I impact it. And we're talking about, as we learned in level 2, impacts that whistle. The stick whistles, you know. You're swinging that hard, but obviously you can't do it here. Remember these 12 angles of attack? He gives me here, I get out of the way and I strike. He gives me this, I get out of the way and I strike. This, out of the way and strike. I maneuver and strike. Maneuver and strike. Maneuver and strike and down. Here's another impact disarm that often gets ignored. We introduced it early on in the level 2 course of SMS, but many times it gets ignored. Here we have a strike. Just take a look at it from a backhand position. Every time that you make contact with this stick, there is a potential for you to do this. Slide down and hit the hand. That can produce an impact. Every time, this will swing in here. Bang! Boom. If you are hand hungry, you know, think about being hand hungry, you can slide in. So let me borrow that soft stick for a second. And just sort of watch this. I want you to experiment. He gives me this angle 1 of the 12. I hit and slide down and try to hit the hand. 2, boom, hit. 3, I'm here, hit. 4, hit. 5, hit. 6, hit. Sliding down the stick. Sometimes the pressure it's perfect if it's held there. So it just so happens you've hit and you've saved yourself. And you're taking that handle slide to try to rack the a second. Now remember what we just did with this impact disarm. He gives me a strike, I maneuver out of the way, and I hit. He gives me that backhand. I'm getting out of the way and I hit. You see, that's the impact. Well, one of the main ways to counter that, there's two I just like to show, is a skillful retraction from being hit. So when I come in, you're number one to hit him and he's coming in, I retract. I see it coming. I have the uncommitted stick slash. Number two, I retract. Number three, I retract. And four, I see it's going to come and hit me and I retract. A skillful retraction away from the impact disarm. So we practice this to perceive it happening. You see it coming, and then you get out of the way of it. Here's my favorite counter of all time. And by the way, one way to break these up is early phase, mid phase, and late phase counters. And what we just did is an early phase counter. Here's a late phase counter that works with just about almost every disarm there is, and probably one that few have seen, except our old hands. I come in and he impacts it, and it works. I lost my stick, I kicked the shit out of him. That's what you do. Well, here's what you do in many systems, huh? You tap it. Fuck that. You run down that bastard a 100-yard dash with guns blazing. There's your counter to the deal. In any manner in the next 5 that we're doing, when you feel that just come in, guns blazing. I wish I could say that there was more to impact disarming than that, but that's pretty much it. If a person gets shot, their body has an impact, the stick may fly. So you have the definition of any impact that produces a disarm. So the second major category is going to be hand snakes. And it's viewed in a few different ways. But let me say, you'll often hear the expression that the stick feels no pain. So if you should hand snake the stick too much, they're going to do a variety of counters that I'm about to show you. But you know, and so they say, well, don't ever catch the stick because the stick feels no pain. And but you know, you'll be darn proud to catch the stick if it's beating you up. So you just catch it the very best you can. But in theory, you can catch the stick. You catch the connection between the arm and the stick. And the snake up here is really just a capture, but sometimes you can pull it free. It's a snaking process, but pretty much we are talking about on the weapon itself and the part between the hand and the weapon. And from the outside, we'll do the clockwise. Obviously, I've got to throw this stick up and stop the momentum of this. Always try the insert. It really helps set it up. But here, remember I said earlier, the diminished fighter. We're here, he takes a swing at me, bam! Oh, I got a great crack on his elbow. And electricity just ran all through him, and so he's not feeling too good about it. Then he takes another swing at me, you know, I get out of the way, pop, pop! Now, all of a sudden, in terms of baseball, where he was throwing 90 miles an hour pitches at me, now he's throwing 62 miles an hour. He's getting to my hit speed. Here's this backhand. Now, boom, a stun. My hand travels from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock as I'm stepping back. You may need some help. You know, you've hit there. You may have to bang that. You may have to pull this. You may have to turn your body. But take it from him. We can't stand, you know, sometimes you just, if I just did big circles, you know, nothing would happen. I have to, you know, I got to take it. I have to leave with it. And so that's an important aspect. That's a backhand. As it comes in, boom! It's the same version. Sometimes you hit here. Some people have done this. Some people twist violently. Just wrapping the stick against a normal person may not take it. It may just tie the both of you up. We'll just step over here for a second. Every time you get any high 10 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, or 4, basically what you do is pass it down to the 9 o'clock side, or you're going to have to bring it down to the 3 o'clock side. So you see, if you learn 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, you've got the disarm. And all the split hair attacks from here is just his inward attack. Now, if he gives me a 6 o'clock stabber that comes up, we've got to pass it over to the left side. Or if it comes up here, it's over to the right side. So these are the quick solution in learning is to learn the disarm from here and the disarm from here. The 3 o'clock, the 9 o'clock, and you're going to be bringing, just reflexively, the high ones to either side or the low ones up to either side. Very simple. I don't want to complicate it too much because it's not backhand. This is the classic. Boom! Give me this. And then the inward over here, we hit any distraction if possible. Give me that. That's the answer. The trainer will strike at 12, strike at 3, strike at 6, and strike at 9, and then you try to turn it into a snake disarm. Backhand. It gives me 3 o'clock. I'm sorry. Yeah. Boom. You know that. 6 o'clock. Boom. 9 o'clock. I give him this attack from here, and he starts a hand snake. You know, I see it, and I retract out of it. That's a full retraction, huh? Right there. If I come over here and he starts hand snaking, that's a full retraction. I come here, he knocks it over. Whoa! That's a full. So we are retract, just like the concept. Look at it. Just like the concept before of he's going to impact my hand, and I have a retraction. In the early phase of his disarm, he starts to wrap, and I can't get out all the way. And so this is almost like a combat scenario so for you to practice, but you get the idea. I'd like to do a quick retraction, but he's beginning to tie me up, and he's about 3/4 done. And so I feel the snag and so forth. One of the common counters to a stick disarm is a handle punch. It goes in. I grab this from the top, and later in the stick course we will be doing the turn series takedowns and throws. I turn and throw them down. So it is a semi-captured stick. I punch forward, catch this, and throw him down. In the air, without a person. I come in, he started rapid. I punch. The experts tell you to punch down into the pelvis. It's as a balance breaker. But it does help in the throw. I seize this into a dos manos, two-handed grip, and then with the appropriate footwork, whatever it is for the moment, I pull in a little bit and turn him down. And that's it. That's the elements put together. He starts to wrap. It's really good. This is why I said earlier, the stick feels no pain. If the person wraps the stick, you've got it big time, see? You know, because I have this motion to take him down. And so the more he wraps the stick, the better ability you'll have for this thing. If he gets both this kind of right around there, you can still do it by punching down, catching, but you see, I come up to there. Is backhand. We hit, he begins to snake. I punch the handle into position, grab here, and now I have this motion right here of return. If you want some help, put the pummel into the carotid or the clavicle, and it helps drive him down. Remember the 4 choices every time your guy hits the ground, what you're going to do. So you had this side, I handle punch in, catch and turn. And then you had this side, it happens pretty quickly. Help, if need be. Help. You know, that is, and all that is, some of you may recognize from yesterday. It's the underarm takedown motion that we've done with a knife, we do with empty hands in level 4 of the bent arm collection, and now we're just having to do it with a stick. The stick is nice because it lays into here if you wanted to and make it so. Just look at it again. Boom. I punch the fist in, catch it where I want it. This may work. Look at me. I'm in, as we would say, and let me borrow, just stay right there and let me borrow the stick, in a T position. This is Indonesian talk for many and other people other countries who are smart enough to make the relation. But you see, that's where we are. I've stepped over. Let's start. I've stepped over into the T position. And here I am. And if you need to, see, I don't let go of it, come around here. I'm here. I pass it so I don't give up an inch. And then you'll say, you have this, and then you put that there. Now let's take a look at a stick snake. And this is when the stick hand goes clockwise or counterclockwise and is the primary movement in making the disarm work. And so let's just take a look at the backhanded version first. I hit, we stun. Much like the hand snake, we're gonna instead, oh man, insert the stick here. And look at that picture. Palms are down, two fists together, side by side. I turn this over and I take it out. Boom! Smack! That's what makes it happen right there, is that shot to the face. Boom! Whoo! The fist. Look at that. If you'll just, that's where you want to go. Turn it over. If you have a little trouble, help. It's a weakened position, you peel it out. And then, the ugly little trick. Terrible thing. It's terrible. And all I did there was, we hit on that circle. I go wrist to wrist. I take my thumb out and I keep his thumb in, and I just turn it over, and it's terrible. It's terrible. So we hit. Boom. Very, very simple. The hand snakes in. One more time from here. You can get real, real fast. Then you have to cane. You can kill him with that. If it comes in high, you pass it to the sides. If it comes in low, you pass it to either side. So if you've got a trick here and you've got a trick here, you've got it for all potential clock corners, you know. Now we just did. Boom, he's giving me a backhand. Pow! There's that ricochet, or boom, right to there. Now, inward, he gives me this inward shot. I hit it, and it's going to require some grabbing. But this comes up with a nice shot, and the stick is intertwining with the other stick as it peels out. That's how it classifies as a hand snake. Some people would call, some systems refer to this as a vine snake. You know, and all vine snakes are stick snake disarms, but not all stick snakes are vine disarms. I know that that's confusing for you, but trust me. I've learned this through time while categorizing. Pow! Racco! Wham! Send up electricity, bad up the body. Loosen that grip. Bam! Lay that like a bridge. Some people lay it up here. I really don't care. It seems to me up here at the hand is good. And just let go for a second. You see? I'm kind of doing this motion. And somewhere in that motion, that's a bridge right there, and this rolls out of the person's hand. Ergo, it's a backhand. And you see he goes to here, and you have, obviously, the quick release. But, so he starts to go, you quick release out. Very, very simple. Practice that once, but backhand to backhand, he begins to reach. Here is the classic handle punch. You know, you punch the handle in, and then whatever else happens, you might get right to there, and you have that takedown. Very similar to the one we did before. And so you see the handle punch. Early phase, he hasn't started twisting me up yet. I see it coming. Here we are. So you see, there's the perfect roll we were looking for. There's a snapshot of that. I see, where can I give him a shot, you know? And I charge in with the handle. Pow. And then if he bends over sufficiently, you have all kinds of possibilities. Here is your strip and send disarm. You know, you have all sorts of possibilities. Backhand, strike in, and that's the counter. Don't really care. You could return the favor to him if you wanted to. Now, technically, in martial art terminology, that is a reversal. Some people think a counter is a reversal. A reversal is do it onto him what he was trying to do onto you. If he's getting you in a lock, you reverse the situation, get him in the same lock he was trying to. Technically that's a true reversal and not just a counter. But you hit, come back. Maybe for simplicity's sake today, you do the same thing that he was trying to do to you. He's coming in, cover, strike, I return back, turn over, go. Now, the other side is as a backhand. It's this way. Remember, he was hitting me, right, and doing this wrap off and taking me off. Here, as he starts to do that, boom, you punch in. Oh, you take his stick. Complicated. First day you're here, you're already lost. Try not to be. If you're fooling around with these. Yeah. Here he is. Now look, he starts to look at freeze right there. See, I'm going to worry about his stick, thinking, right? Boom. And then I'm just picking up that stick. Boom, boom. And now I have the two gains. So you see the punch. And the switch that you can have. He hits. And you see right about somewhere around there. Pow. I grab the stick. Hit. Famous double stick. Here he begins to stick snake me. That very simple solution. It's worth doing at least once each way so that you start getting it into your muscle memory. Explode like a freight, a very popular category. The fourth one, a strip and keep. We keep it because we were lucky enough to catch the stick. It stopped. We didn't slash block and it came in the rest of the way. Boom! We sort of C-clamped it, touched it, and closed rather than trying to snatch it too far. You can get very good at catching the stick with some practice. You don't do it this way. Ow! You don't do it that way. You have to stop it and try to catch it. And we strip it in a few basic methods. These are the basic principles. You shoot the moon. You slam the earth. I'm adding that little shot right there. You ride the horizon between the earth and the moon. You have handle pulls, usually near the hand. And the last category are twist outs that sometimes are pretty effective. Here we'll have a 12 o'clock. I bang it down, I grab the stick, and I shoot the moon. And I have it in a choked up grip. Oh, do you want it? That's okay. We'll just, Then over here on this side. Now, here's where I want to tell you the strip and keeps on this side are cumbersome. Most all people bring them over to their favorite side because you see the arms get funky, and maybe you could pull something off like that if you tried to. But 12, drop it down, boom, boom. 3 o'clock. The 6 o'clock version, it could be this way or straight stab. It doesn't matter. Boom, strip and keep. And then 9 o'clock, I am probably going to bring it over to my old neighborhood where I've hung out for so long and do that side, And so, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be shooting downward. It looks like anything in the middle. Could be a pull, but this is also a continuation of the increasing 12s format that we're working on. We plug in here. He strikes me at number 1. I stop it, catch the stick. 2, catch the stick. 3, catch the stick. 4, catch the stick. Stab, catch it. I work on catching it. Can you catch everyone? Not always. You see? And 12 comes down, boom, and I catch the stick. You're developing the stick catching ability. It's interesting. So what I had to do in the Philippines over and over again was do that faster and faster and faster. And in a reasonably short time, you got good at catching the stick. You see? So that's what I'm going to ask you to do. Here's one. Stop it, catch it. Now, I'll tell you something else we did, if you must know minutia. There are 2 types of catches. There's palm in, which elicits a whole bunch of follow-ups and takedowns and throws. And then there's palm out, which elicits this whole other collection. I'm not going to worry about this. This
two amazingly in-depth material. But we spent time catching. For example, if we have this catch, palm in, bonk, wrap, pull, and throw. Now, if I didn't catch it palm in, I couldn't have done that. Palm out, boom, bonk, rip, pull down. Covering for the legs. You see, so depending on where you are, and this, of course, is high-level time spending. And for example, he gives me 1, palm out. 2, I catch it palm out. 3, see it's palm out. 4, palm out. 5, palm out from the body. Now just start over again. 1, palm in. 2, palm in. You see. 3, palm in. 4, palm in. 5, palm in, as opposed to palm out. I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm just showing you these are the many things that under the bright sun and the coconut tree of the beach in the Negros Island we had to do over. Look at this application that is a combative piece that we had to do often. Here is angle 1. I stop, I catch, I crack him a shot. 2, stop, catch, crack him a shot. 3, so technically speaking, every time you're able to catch the stick, almost every time, you have the possibility of whacking that stick back at the guy, his own head, and kind of stunning him. And I've been doing this stuff for years. That's something I learned only in the Philippines. And it's one of those wildest secret mysteries exposed. So he gives me the stomach stab. Here's where you may or may not like it on these low shots. Boom. But you see the possibility of the combat strike. He gives me that high hook. Oh, yeah, the high hook. Boom. Boom. And the high hook over here. I block and I got lucky and catch, and you see the motions. Now, if you catch down low, the ability to do that is not so good. If you catch real high, you're punching him, which is not that bad. But if you get it in the middle, you seem to be able, before he realizes it. However, in these twisted paths that we go on, he just give me 1. Boom, boom. His hand catches that end to protect himself, see? As a reflex. And so these are, we begin to start problem solving these. Of course, if his hands are busy in that position, that's a good thing. But, he gives me a backhand, boom, and you strike and he catches. Ha, poo, ha, wah, ha. You have these counters that you continue to do. And you spend time there figuring out these things. So, what I'll ask you to do, he gives me 1, pop, pop. 2, pop, pop, pop. Go through the increasing 12s and think about stopping and catching and bringing us. Give him this number 1 strike. He blocks it and he grabs my cane. One of the counters to the strip and keep is the handle punch. He's right. He got it. There's the hinge. There's the handle punch. Number 2, he catches my cane. There's the handle punch. Number 3, he catches the cane. There's that handle punch. Number 4, he catches the cane. Oh, see, if he caught it up high, I would have trouble. If he catches it in the middle, I will show you the next mysterious secret to cover that. Because I can't punch, he's got control of the stick, And so, but if he catches it low enough, you have mojo there to strike. So you see, and the 6 o'clock one is always tricky, because the punch is kind of tricky. But nonetheless, I want you to stick with the pattern. And so here's 1. Catch the cane, strike. 2. See, it's a race to who strikes who first, isn't it? He's just barely catching it. He's going to strike me, or I'm going to step in and strike him. So it's a race to the punch. I give him number 1 here, and he catches my stick pretty much in the middle. So my punch ability is limited. Now we're going to do the DMS rollover releases. I grab the stick with 2 hands. I release free. Here's 2. Boom. He catches. Oh, yeah? Release. Boom. He catches my stick. I release. Boom. He catches my stick. I roll over. And sometimes you see the releasing technique involves hitting here. Boom. That 4 pretty much encompass all the different directions. I have an expandable baton. Now, we've already pretty much covered, when I want to draw it out, some of the problems that happen and how I might solve that. I present this weapon, and the enemy grabs it. See, and usually they have two steps involved when someone grabs it. Scientifically, they grab your weapon, they grab your hand, they grab your arm. And they do the same thing with two hands. We're going to try to cover all those. But this is a quick snatch of your stick. Now this is symbolic of it being this way too. Same thing. Except, normally they push it down to punch you. So go ahead. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is grab the stick with two hands and bench press it up to protect yourself. But if you want to start without the punch for learning's sake, don't punch right away. He grabs the cane. First thing you do is try to pull back on it. I go to a dos manos grip. I pull. You may get it released. If it's not going, I do that roll over release, and I retain my stick. He grabs. Dos manos grip. Step back, away. Try to pull. And one good thing about the pull is it pulls him off balance, and it takes away his ability to hang onto the stick. So it's always a good idea to pull. If he grabs your hand, it's always a good idea to pull away. First thing. He grabs. You grab. Pull, and you do that. And the mechanics of this is that I'm going to raise that up, and my forearm hits here pretty hard, and I'm driving that in that S or V lock position. Something dramatic to reach underneath and pull it out to show how it works. I pull out the stick. He grabs it. I step back. I drop. Cross grab. I step back and I drop. And so that's what I'm going to ask you to do just a couple of times. He gets it. I step back and drop. He gets it with the cross hand. I step back and I go the opposite direction. If he grabs you, he may be punching you. So you go to dos manos grip and you raise this up. In fact, the classic Filipino police method, he catches you. He tries to punch. He cannot punch. He tries to kick. He cannot kick. That's the mantra. That way. That way. This way. Many different things that grabs both hands on your stick. And as many would say, as Ernesto Presas would say, if this happened, he'd say, he grabs your cane with two hands. His hands are busy. You will punch him. And that's true. His hands are very busy. He's taking your impact weapon, drive it up, a good shot into the throat, as we would do in the unarmed combatives course. So here we have that problem. We stun him. I come down here, I do a push-pull release, and I handle punch. He now grabs here. And you stick, you'll have a real easy situation. Switch hands. You have a real easy, that's number one. But if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, you do the releasing technique we've been doing for 2 days now. I pretend as though my elbow is going to strike his head, and then I strike my elbow down and I get that releasing technique. Principally, again, his hand is still in that funny bent situation. The C lock, the center lock, the S lock, whatever your system calls it. Catch and drop. He catches you here. You raise up and drop. He catches you here. The fifth one. This is a quick refresher. Remember what we're looking at here. He holds that stick out. We have the impact. We have a hand snake. We have a stick snake. We have a strip and keep because we caught the stick. And lastly, we have a strip and send because we caught the hand. And square off in front of somebody and say, wait till I catch that guy's hand. You don't know what's going to happen. The term Larry Hartzell used to use, which I liked, is, it's incidental and accidental to the event. Whatever happens, it just happens. So he gives me a 12 o'clock. I pass it out. We're going to practice catching the hand. He gives me a 3 o'clock. I catch the hand. A 6 o'clock that comes up, I caught the hand. And a 9 o'clock, I just caught the hand. The 4 o'clock corners is the basic way to train. And the 12 angles is an advanced way to train. Where he gives me 1. Boom, and I catch 2, and I catch the hand 3, and I catch the hand 4, and I catch the hand 5, I catch the hand. You see? And you do it this way, practicing catching. Get that skill, that snatch skill. But don't try to snatch so much as to feel it and close. He gives me an angle 1, or let's say 12 o'clock. I catch this and I catch the hand. I am going to have to strip it and not keep it because I'm grabbing the hand and not the stick. Here we'll pretty much utilize the pummel. I turn to help it, ponk, boom. Very, very simple movement. Conceptually, it's pretty important. I stop this, catch, pummel. If you need any help, this is principally it. Look at this here. There's another strip in sand. Just once you get the idea of what it is that you're doing, it's very simple conceptually to pick it up. You see, this time I went this way. I might catch it here. So I caught it palm out. This time I wind up catching the hand palm in. Here, I'm just going to have to try to strip it out this way. Unfortunately, any catch maximized on what they call the key in the Philippines, but catching the ball of the thumb, releasing a large percentage of grip strength by getting and pulling back on that and cracking them while doing so, you're sending the stick off. So you see there's two different ways from up top. Boom, boom, and then over here, boom, and boom. Is catching the arm and stripping the stick. Here's his 3 o'clock. I stopped it, I caught the arm, I stripped the stick out with a good twist that way. 3 o'clock. Boom, happened to catch the arm. I weave this up into here and turn, pushing and pulling to try to get that stick out, and then anything that you want to do. We're not doing the takedown parts yet. One more time, we'll do it from this side. Move a little bit closer. Here it comes. Boom. I catch the hand, strike up here to stun, and then send the stick. And it's curious, I was in a large crowd, they were circled around me, and I was doing something like this. And people are often capable of shooting that stick in different ways, but it depends upon the tension in his hand, an element that you can't control, But this guy had and I shot this stick, and what it did, it came loose, went up over about 5 or 6 people standing over here, traveled and traveled and traveled, and sat perfectly in a chair across the room. And everybody was just, their jaw dropped, and they turn around and look at me, and I just pretended I was aiming for it. But that surprised me too. So, but you'll see people, talk about that. Now, if you want to send the stick far, you ride it like a musical instrument. You push down here. But again, if he doesn't have any tension in his grip, it's not going to go much. If you want to send it straight down, you send it out here. And the more you send it here, the more you will get that circular distance. Boom, we're back into the same configuration. Drop, boom. And another thing that, as we learned, you catch and hit, many times when you send the stick, the experts like for you to hurt them in the process. When the hand comes through, or backhand here, boom, hit, hurt in the process. Just something you might be able to do. Now there is one on this side to work on, there's one on that side. You take the 12s, bring it down, you bring the 6s up to either side. As long as you have a trick here and a trick here, you can to the strip and sand. His hand is on you. One of them is a releasing technique. A slap free, a circular release, a push-pull release, the big 3. And so I come in here, boom, and he grabs my hand. I just push-pull release. Here's my 3 o'clock. He comes in, he catches my hand. I push-pull release. And 6 o'clock, I come in, and he grabs my hand. I have a push-pull release. What we're trying to do. Ever cautious, he may crack me across here. In the meantime, number 12 comes straight down and a slapper. Any release that works. If he catches you this way, that's hammering the pummel down is also a pretty effective. In one of the karate systems I was in, one of the Kempo systems, we had to pick a weapon, and thank goodness it was a good weapon selection, not some of these old weird-looking things, And I picked the katana, which is old and weird-looking, but it was certainly a good weapon, other than some of the other things that they have. And we had some principles that applied directly to people, law enforcement in the military, who carry batons. But these are actually samurai sword katana tricks. If he gives me a crossover grab, in other words, he sees me going to draw the sword and he wants to prevent me to do it. He pins my hand. You take the handle out, turn, and eject it down. You know, and this is as important for law enforcement today as it was back then. You know, for Tom Cruise to know. And so we have that grab right there, raise and drop. You have this palm down grab. I turn, raise and eject. You have this hand maybe caught this way. Raise and eject down. And you have this capture right there. Raise up and eject down. So you have, basically, don't you? You have two hands. You have palm down this side. And usually what we would do is put pressure on it. It's also a lot of Aikijitsu. And because it would involve sword carries, as study of an ancient art. Yes, I did it, you know. and so we expected a lot of energy this way that would come in. Palm down this hand, palm down this hand. I have to turn to utilize it. I forget the Japanese words for all these different sword parts, but you know, people love that stuff. Eject down. Then you have that side.
Don't look at me.
And then that side. Here's a standard quick draw. You level 1 veterans will know this one. Where a guy, if you have a pistol on this side, you'll grab your impact weapon, strike forward, switch hands, step and strike. Law enforcement must foolishly strike the thigh, a worthless strike, but they would rather have you hurt than be sued. So they don't want you to strike anywhere that counts. But the moral of the story is that you're a same side grab guy. There's also katana techniques that involve the drawing of the blade in the same side. So you have this problem where you'll have a guy, he grabs your hand, I raise up, body dynamic, turn and drop down. And then you have a cross guy that catches your hand. I raise the handle up, maybe eject it over with 2 hands, or just turn. And so you see, these are ways so to retain your weapon from here and then from the same side if this person comes out. Now, you know there's a bunch more. There's piles of material here that we can never just put on a single DVD or even maybe doing a 2-day seminar, because we would have to break down everything we did successfully and over again, all the different corners. And then there's disarming two-handed grips. And then there's ground fighting, stick ground fighting with disarms. And then there are these scores of these little odd disarms. You know, that really don't, they fit a generic category, but you want to do them and identify them as very important to know, but unique, you know. So let's just take a look at some basic principles. Now, we have a system against a rifle grip or whatever, stick or rifle grip, doesn't matter. But since the man has 2 hands on a stick, you're going to have multiple disarms per event, sometimes 2 different ones. And in order to train it, I've learned that you need a bit of choreography. He's got to help you a little bit to develop the potential skills. He gives me a high corner. I stop it, and now I'm going to do a double impact. Whack, whack. Here comes over here. Boom! Smack, smack. Boom! It's an impact disarm, 2 of them. And over here we hit. And using these solo commanded mastery that I've trained with a single-handed grip in level 2, I have the ability to get strength in these different motions. And maybe the number 5, just a forward right movement. Pow, pow, 2. So we're targeting both hands. 1 again, block. Maybe the fan is what you want to do. 2, boom, fan strike, fan strike. 3, pow, wham, wham. Over here, boom. But just freeze, you know, pop on either hand. That one will stay apart, but stop right there, you know. Fwam, fwam on the hands over here. Bam! You know, impact, you're attacking 1 corner, 2 corner, 3 corners, 4 corners. Push or push this way. To experiment with some impact. You see what we have done is multiple versions. He gives me that high attack, you know, you may block that hand snake and impact. You're just doing combinations, exactly what we did, but against the two. Here's one that's a bit unique, huh? He gives me this one coming in here, just from the other side so the camera can pick it up. I block it, and I'm going to weave in, roll in, and strike. Then I'll come into here. Don't let go too soon, And what I like to do is into the stomach and back. And I've hurt both these thumbs, haven't I? And then you rip out one at a time. Let's kind of do that slowly. He gives me that high attack, boom. And we learn in level 3 of the rollovers. Boom. Suddenly I've inserted myself in here, thrust into the belly, and then see, my thumbs are out. I ride into his thumbs, and you could capture him right here. He is yours, my friend. Trust me. Trust me. Throw him down. He is yours. When you get the thumbs, it's miserable. But, boom, smack, insert, crash. Take one at a time. If you try to pull on both, you're up against two hands. Using the body, rip and rip. And let him get his thumbs out, because it's pretty painful. Now that is kind of it's a strip and keep, but that's rather unique. That is hard you must identify it and study it separately, He gives me that high shot, I block. I roll in this way, or I roll in over the top. I can come in this way. I insert, feed the stick if I have to. In, back against the thumbs, and then one at a time. That side and that side is the strip and keep disarm. The basic counter retention summary is when he starts to wrap up or get after your stick, you do a withdrawal to get it back. Sometimes during the process of the disarm, you do an empty hand strike or two. Sometimes during the process of the disarm, you'll do some type of kick. Many times you will do a handle strike as he's trying to wrap up your arm or stick. Then you have the releasing slaps when someone is grabbing you. You have the circular releases, and you have joint lock pressure releases. You must remember too that you have the ability sometimes to switch hands. And of course you have the row overs that you can use to counter disarming.